Hello, and welcome to Story Recap. For this episode, let's talk about what happened and Never Back Down. So big time spoilers ahead. Watch out. The movie opens with a dimly lit underground fight club, where the air is thick with tension and anticipation. Case, a veteran professional fighter, is in the middle of a brutal match, sweat dripping from his brow as he dodges and weaves through his opponent's relentless attacks. The crowd roars with excitement, but Case remains focused, his eyes locked on his target. As the fight comes to an end, Case emerges victorious, battered but unbroken. As he makes his way through the cheering crowd, he spots a familiar face, Brody, his old friend and fellow professional fighter. The two men share a brief, intense look before Brody approaches Case with a grin. After they greet each other, Brody's grin widens as he invites Case to his party, eager to catch up on old times. Case hesitates for a moment, but ultimately agrees, curious to see what his old friend has been up to. The party is in full swing when Case arrives, the music pounding and the atmosphere electric. He finds Brody surrounded by a group of people, a drink in his hand and a wild look in his eyes. As the two friends reconnect, Brody reveals that he's joined the Premortal Fighting Championship, PFC, a controversial organization that has offered him millions of dollars to fight Caesar the Psycho Braga. Case's expression darkens at the mention of the PFC, as he's well aware of the organization's lack of drug testing and safety regulations. He tries to warn Brody of the dangers, but his friend is too caught up in the thrill of the opportunity and the promise of wealth. As the night wears on, Brody's behavior becomes increasingly reckless, his drinking spiraling out of control. Case watches with concern, knowing that his friend is on a dangerous path. When he decides to leave the party, he spots a group of thugs following Brody, who has been set up by one of the girls at the party to be beaten and robbed. Without hesitation, Case leaps into action, fighting off the attackers and rescuing Brody from their clutches. The two friends escape the party, battered and bruised but alive, and spend the night catching up and reminiscing about their past. The next morning, Brody, nursing a hangover and a bruised ego, asks Case to accompany him to Thailand and help him prepare for his fight against Caesar. Case is reluctant, knowing the risks involved with the PFC, but ultimately agrees, unable to turn his back on his friend in need. Upon arriving in Thailand, Case is taken to his hotel, where he's greeted by the exotic sights and sounds of the bustling city. He takes a moment to soak it all in, knowing that the real challenge lies ahead. Meanwhile, in a lavish conference room, Mr. Vega, the president of the PFC, addresses a room full of journalists, hyping up the upcoming fight between Brody James and Caesar Braga. The atmosphere is tense, as everyone knows the reputation of the two fighters and the controversy surrounding the PFC. As the press conference continues, Caesar becomes increasingly agitated, particularly when a journalist brings up the charges against him involving his ex-wife. Unable to contain his anger, Caesar storms out of the room, leaving a trail of destruction in his wake. In a quiet moment alone, Caesar enters a bathroom and stares at his reflection in the mirror, his eyes filled with rage. With a guttural scream, he smashes his heath into the mirror, shattering it into 1,000 pieces. The stage is set for an epic showdown between two MMA giants, with Case caught in the middle, fighting not only for his friend's safety but for his own redemption. The battle for the championship in Bangkok promises to be a fight that will be remembered for years to come. As Brody sits in the car, his mind races with thoughts of the press conference and Caesar's explosive reaction. He can't help but feel a growing sense of dread, knowing that he'll soon be facing the unpredictable and dangerous fighter in the ring. He glances over at Case, hoping to find some reassurance, but his friend's stoic expression offers little comfort. Determined to prepare Brody for the fight of his life, Case goes to a local gym, where he's managed to gather an assortment of karate training equipment from a nearby scrapyard. The gym is filled with fighters of all shapes and sizes, each one eager to prove themselves and make a name in the world of MMA. As Case begins his training, which he regularly does, he quickly draws the attention of the other fighters, particularly a man named Cobra, who's known for his ruthless fighting style and affiliation with the PFC. Eager to test Case's skills, Cobra challenges him to a fight. The gym falls silent as Case and Cobra square off, their eyes locked in a fierce stare down. The tension is palpable as the two fighters circle each other, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. When the fight finally begins, it's clear that Case is the superior fighter, easily dodging Cobra's attacks and landing powerful blows of his own. Within minutes, Case emerges victorious, leaving Cobra battered and defeated on the gym floor. The other fighters watch in awe, their respect for Case growing as they learn of his impressive 42-fight undefeated streak. Word of Case's victory over Cobra quickly reaches the PFC, and Mr. Vega himself shows up at the gym, accompanied by a team of intimidating associates. At first, it seems as though they've come to confront Case for defeating one of their fighters, but their intentions soon become clear. They want to offer Case a contract to join the PFC. Case is taken aback by the offer, knowing the dangers and controversies associated with the organization. He glances over at Brody, who's watching the exchange with a mix of hope and fear. Torn between loyalty to his friend and his own principles, Case is faced with a difficult decision that could change the course of his life forever. As the days go by, it becomes increasingly apparent that Brody is not fully committed to his training. He frequently shows up late, often hungover or still reeling from the previous night's escapades. One evening, he even goes so far as to sneak away from the gym to engage in a passionate tryst, leaving Case to worry about his friend's priorities and chances in the upcoming fight. Despite his concerns about Brody, Case remains dedicated to helping those around him. When a group of young fighters at the gym approach him for training, he readily agrees, taking them under his wing and sharing his wealth of knowledge and experience. This act of kindness further cements Case's reputation as not only a skilled fighter but also a man of good character. Meanwhile, Micah, a beautiful and mysterious member of Mr. Vega's staff, takes an interest in Case and asks him out on a date. Though initially hesitant, Case agrees, and the young fighters he's been training eagerly help him prepare for the evening, offering advice on clothing and grooming. As Case and Micah sit down for dinner at an oceanside restaurant, the chemistry between them is undeniable. They share stories and laughter, and it seems as though Case may have found a rare moment of happiness amidst the chaos of his life. However, the mood takes a sudden turn when Micah brings up Case's time in prison. The mention of his past clearly unsettles him, and he abruptly ends the date, leaving Micah behind with a mix of confusion and concern. As Case walks away from the restaurant, he's haunted by memories of his time behind bars, the violence, the isolation, and the mistakes that led him there. He knows that he can't outrun his past, but he's determined to forge a better future for himself and those he cares about. With the fight between Brody and Caesar drawing closer, Case doubles down on his efforts to prepare his friend for the battle ahead. He pushes Brody harder than ever before, forcing him to confront his own demons and find the strength within himself to face the formidable psycho. As the day of the fight starts to approach, Case stands by Brody's side, ready to support him in the most important match of his life. The stakes are higher than ever, and the outcome will determine not only the fate of their friendship but also the course of their lives. In the next scene, Mr. Vega meets with Brody and his old trainer, Mr. Matty, expressing his frustration with Brody's lack of dedication to his training. He coldly suggests that Brody should consider using performance-enhancing drugs to improve his chances in the fight, offering the contact information of a shady doctor who can provide the necessary substances. Brody hesitates, torn between his desire for victory and his fear of the potential consequences. As Mr. Vega leaves the room, the weight of the decision hangs heavy on Brody's shoulders. When Brody learns about Case's date with Micah, jealousy consumes him. He confronts Case at the gym, challenging him to a fight to settle their differences. The two friends engage in a heated battle, their emotions fueling their powerful blows. Despite Brody's anger, Case ultimately emerges victorious, leaving Brody to nurse his bruised ego and reconsider his priorities. Furious to learn that Case has fought and defeated Brody, Mr. Vega orders his team to gather every piece of information they can find about Case. He's determined to uncover any weaknesses or secrets that he can use to his advantage, unwilling to let anything stand in the way of his plans for the PFC. In a quiet moment alone, Case succumbs to his own demons, using drugs to numb the pain and stress of his tumultuous life. It's a moment of weakness that threatens to undo all of his hard work and progress. The next day, as Case trains the young fighters at the gym, Micah arrives to apologize for bringing up his past during their date. She expresses her genuine concern for him and hopes to make amends. Case, touched by her sincerity, accepts her apology and the two begin to rebuild their connection. In the next scene, Case and Brody sit down at a street-side restaurant, the tension between them still palpable. Brody takes the opportunity to apologize for his recent behavior and promises to fully commit to prepare for the fight against Caesar. Case, recognizing the importance of their friendship, accepts Brody's apology and Brody vows to dedicate himself to his training. With renewed determination and a strengthened bond, Case and Brody face the challenges ahead, knowing that they must rely on each other to overcome the obstacles that stand between them and victory in the ring. The final showdown with Caesar looms ever closer, and the stakes have never been higher. The following day, Brody takes it upon himself to mend the strained relationship between Case and Matt, his old trainer. He brings the two men together, urging them to put their egos aside and work together for the greater goal of defeating Caesar. Reluctantly, Case and Matt shake hands, acknowledging the importance of their collaboration and the need to put their differences aside. With the team now united, Case, Brody, and Matt embark on a rigorous training regimen, pushing themselves to their physical and mental limits in preparation for the upcoming fight. Amidst the grueling workouts, Case and Micah find time to rekindle their budding romance, going on a proper date and enjoying each other's company. As the evening comes to an end, Case walks Micah to her doorstep, the chemistry between them undeniable. However, he hesitates to take things further, choosing to say goodnight and return to his own home. Once home, Case is confronted by one of Mr. Vega's associates, who presents him with a lucrative contract to join the PFC despite the tempting offer. Case remains steadfast in his principles, refusing to sign and align himself with the controversial organization. As the tumultuous life of Case was finally showing signs of stability, a video from his past emerged on the vast expanse of the internet. The footage in question depicted Case in a heated altercation with police officers, during which he resorted to physically assaulting them. As if that weren't enough, the video quickly gained traction and spread like wildfire across various social media platforms, drawing the attention of a multitude of journalists who were eager to churn out a story on the already troubled fighter. In an attempt to protect Case from the media frenzy, Mr. Vega offers him a house with round-the-clock security as a gesture of gratitude for his work with Brody. Micah accompanies Case to the new residence, and as they explore the luxurious home, the tension between them reaches a boiling point. Unable to resist their feelings any longer, they share a passionate embrace, finally giving in to their desires. As the days count down to the climactic fight between Brody and Caesar, Case and his team must navigate the challenges of their personal lives while preparing for the battle that will define their futures. With everything on the line, they must find the strength within themselves and each other to face their greatest fears and emerge victorious. During a particularly intense training session, Brody faces off against a formidable opponent named Boris. As the two fighters exchange blows, disaster strikes. Brody suffers a severe injury, leaving him unable to compete for at least 12 weeks. The news is devastating, as it means he will be unable to participate in the highly anticipated fight against Caesar. Seeing an opportunity to capitalize on Case's growing fame, Mr. Vega offers him a staggering $1 million to replace Brody in the fight against Caesar. Despite his initial reservations, Case ultimately agrees, knowing that this could be his chance to prove himself on the world stage and bring much-needed publicity to the event. Unbeknownst to Case, Mr. Vega had orchestrated Brody's injury by paying Boris to intentionally harm him during their training session. With Case's video of assaulting police officers garnering over 20 million views, Mr. Vega knows that having him in the fight will generate a massive amount of interest and revenue for the PFC. With the fight date rapidly approaching, Case throws himself into his training, pushing his body and mind to their limits in preparation for the showdown with Caesar. He spends hours perfecting his moves, practicing his kicks and punches until they are second nature. As he hones his skills and sharpens his focus, he's determined to make the most of this opportunity and prove that he's a force to be reckoned with in the world of MMA and take down Caesar as well as Mr. Vega. As the day of the fight approaches, Case and his team are consumed with a singular goal: to bring down Mr. Vega and avenge Brody's injury. They know that their success hinges on their ability to catch Mr. Vega, the president of PFC, off. Each member of the team is focused and determined, knowing that they are fighting not just for themselves, but for Brody and the countless others who have been harmed by the corrupt PFC. As the day of the fight arrives, the atmosphere in the arena is electric with anticipation and excitement. The crowd is buzzing with excitement, eagerly awaiting the spectacle that is about to unfold. Mr. Vega, blinded by his greed for money and power, is oblivious to the danger that is lurking just around the corner. Little does he know, Case and his team have been plotting their revenge for the harm he caused Brody. So, before the official fight is set to begin, Case stealthily makes his way to Caesar's room, determined to provoke the volatile fighter. He knows that Caesar is a loose cannon, and he plans to use that to his advantage. He brings up the sensitive topic of Caesar's ex-wife, knowing it will enrage him. As expected, Caesar loses control and attacks Case, initiating an intense and brutal fight between the two men. Caesar lunges at Case, his fists flying. The two men collide in a frenzy of punches and kicks, their bodies slamming against the walls and floor. It is a brutal fight, with neither man giving an inch. At first, Caesar seems to have the upper hand, landing powerful blows on Case. But then something changes. Case pulls down his boxing gloves, revealing his expert karate skills. He taps into his training, his body moving with fluid grace as he unleashes a devastating series of kicks and punches. The tide turns in Case's favor, and he gains the upper hand. He lands powerful blows on Caesar, knocking him to the ground. Caesar lies there, dazed and defeated, as the fight ends before the official match even has a chance to begin. With Caesar defeated and the official fight cancelled, Mr. Vega is furious at the turn of events. Case confronts him, demanding an additional $1 million for what Vega did to Brody. Vega is also forced to a full refund of all the money made from the now cancelled fight. Cornered and with no other choice, Mr. Vega begrudgingly agrees to Case's demands. Knowing that he has been outmaneuvered and defeated, his empire begins to crumble around him, as the truth of his corruption and deceit is exposed for all to see. As the crowd cheers for Case, he and Micah walk away from the chaos, hand in hand. They have not only emerged victorious in the fight against Caesar but also managed to bring down the corrupt Mr. Vega, PFC, and avenge Brody's injury. The movie concludes with a powerful message about the importance of loyalty, friendship, and the unbreakable spirit of a true warrior who refuses to back down, no matter the odds. Through their actions, Case and his team have shown that justice can prevail, even in the face of seemingly insurmountable obstacles. If you want interesting movie recaps like these, like, share, and subscribe to follow us for more movie recaps.